Hi, YouTubes. Hello. We're back painting the north wind, and I'm just using some blue to base coat some of the fabric so that we can begin to see some of the start to distinguish some more of these elements from each other. I think kind of the typical thing here would be to like paint all of this leather, but I don't really feel like doing that. So I'm gonna go with, I just want to add like a little splash of color to her. So we are going to start base coating some elements. So things like all of this fabric around her ankles and stuff. Even these little bits here are going to be blue, but then the actual straps on top of them will be probably some kind of dark leather. I'm going to go for a cold ambience overall. I might go with like a more blackish leather than a bright leather. So all this is going to be blue. How's everyone doing, by the way? What you been up to? What you working on? I have a thing to announce. It should be up this week, but I'm going to do like a Twitch class stream. So basically, the way it'll work is Joaquin and Epica Tales is going to put up a pre-order for one of their busts, and you guys will be able to order it. This is just so in case it gets a lot of demand, they don't keep a ton of figures on hand. So we'll do a pre-order, and then when I get back from my trip to World Model Expo in Europe, I will do like a special Saturday stream where it'll be like a live class that you guys can follow along and paint, and I'll make a channel on the Discord that you can like post your work in progress as you paint along with me. And I will give like live feedback on people's pieces as we go. So I keep a lookout for the link when I do that. And yeah, it'll probably be like, it's going to take them a little while probably to produce all the figures that we need for the class. So it won't be till I get back. So it'll probably be like early August when I get around to that. Will we be able to order the bus from Europe as well? Yeah. Well, Joaquin's based in Europe, so he's based in Spain, so it'll probably come to you faster than it'll come to people in the US. And it'll be like, I'll start probably like early on a Saturday to try and let the Europeans join in. I'm sorry, Australians. Maybe I will have to do another one for you guys. But yeah, we'll do a live kind of workshop thing. It'll be like a 1 day, probably like 10 hours. It's just West Coast, you're going to have to wake up early. West Coast is going to have to wake up a little early, and Europe's going to have to stay up a little late. That's all, you know. Eddie Ladd, hello. Thanks for following. Asa, hello. Welcome. Thanks for following. Well, we'll see how it goes. There is a chance that I will ask someone to collaborate, because obviously I'll be painting, right? I'll be painting and then or demoing and then having to give feedback. So while you guys are catching up, maybe we'll have a guest streaming, like also painting theirs, so that's like someone following along with the class too. We'll see how that works, but yes, this will be on YouTube. Do I plan on having a VOD available? Yeah. Yeah, so if you watch it later, you'll be able to also, you know, follow along. It'll just be, you won't be able to get like the live feedback, you know. But yeah, join the Discord so you can find out when the pre-order goes live. We'll do probably like a pre-order for like 2 weeks, so you guys will have a chance to order the figure, and then we will do a class. And some of you might have the figure already, so. I don't have an exact date yet. I'll announce the date. It'll be a Saturday in August, because I will basically be gone for the entirety of July. Augusto. And that gives Joaquin a chance to produce and deliver all the figures. So I'll have like a little over a month to send out all the figures and everything, and get them delivered to you, and yeah. No. No. This is not the class bust, which he is currently working on, by the way. But that's a separate thing. That is for in-person workshops and will not be available for sale. It is. Yeah, it's this guy. Well, Viking lad. I mean, it's this dude. Grok. please don't go like, well, you can if you want, but doesn't mean go buy it on the site right now. Like we're trying to do it through the pre-order so we know how many are going to participate in the online class thing. So, okay. What is the target skill level? All skill levels. Anyone is welcome to follow along. I did finish Andor, yeah. It was really good. Wrapped up nicely. I'm actually curious to watch Rogue One again and see if I like the movie more now, considering I did not enjoy it so much the first time I watched it. Maybe now with more context and better appreciation for the character, I will enjoy it more. I think so. There's a little bit back there. Some of these spots are very difficult to reach. Might touch the skin a little bit, but that's okay. We can clean it up later. And this, now that I look good, whatever, who cares if I cover the leathery bits? It's gonna get painted anyways. They either like it or hate it more. Oh no. Why do I get a feeling I'm going to be in the hate it more? Look at that mess I just made on her leg. Whoops. Get out of here. All right, so there she is with some blue. Let's go ahead and quickly just like take some of the phthalo and some of this light blue. I want like a light blue, but I don't want this kind of medium blue here. I'm not going for like a super light blue for the fabric. I just want to get some little bit of lights down so I can get a kind of read on the values that I want here on some of the fabric. I think that's kind of where I want it to go. Something along those lines. What else? I watched some stuff. I watched some movies with Ray while I was in Austin. We watched Captain America Brave New World. That was terrible and felt super pointless, and nothing happened in it. And yeah, It was bad. And then we watched Nosferatu, and that was really good. Hello, copy. I have not seen Sinners yet. I want to see that also. Copy, thanks for the follow. Okay. Yeah, all that's under there is basically in shadow, so I don't really have to worry about that. I like, what is his name? Sorry, it's just slipping my mind. Who directed Black Panther? Ryan Coogler. I like Ryan Coogler's movies. I liked Creed. And I liked the first Black Panther. The second one was pretty bad. To be honest. So now we have to figure out what kind of color we want to do for the fur. The fur seems, I don't know. I'm going to black out the X first while I just think about it. Because there's sort of two ways we could go about the fur. I'm going to add some blue to the black also, just to get some chroma to it. I like my metals. I like when I do non-metallics to start with a black. Get some black in there. Yeah, so for the fur, there's sort of two options here. I can either go with like a black fur, or I feel like I go with a very light fur. If I'm going to do a dark leather, I feel like maybe a light fur makes more sense so that you get this light fur with a dark leather, right? Light skulls. So she has this like trim of light fur that then silhouettes the skin against the blue. So it'll probably be some sort of pale fur color. I think would be logical. Hello. Hi, Christian. Christian, I still need to mail your package. I will do it this week. Probably tomorrow. Thanks, Laughing? Who's that one now? Brown, white fur, maybe? Nah, I don't think, not brown. I think like some kind of pale, like polar bear fur or something, you know? Some kind of white fur would probably work best. This is going to be a wood, but just to make it stop bothering me. Same with all this leather back here. Just get some color on it. Just her little knife and stuff in the back. Yeah, like a beige. All right, so for the skull, the skulls, we're gonna start with like a olive sort of tone. I will mix some of this cold light blue into it. And you'll see it's going to turn kind of greenish. This sort of greenish gray kind of color. It's this cold gray, but it's not like, you know, tan. I think that people often think about like bone color, so trying to just get some shapes here. All right, and then for the shadows, we're gonna go darker with this more beige. We have to go up in light from this, but eventually it needs to be paler than her skin, so we're looking for a value. She has very pale skin though, so a value that's not too off from the shadow of her skin. Anybody going to World Model Expo? Anyone in the chat? Who will I see there? I still have to finish my model. The real answer is I still have to start my model. Instead of working on my World Model Expo piece, I'm painting for you guys on stream. How about that, huh? You're welcome. Jeez. Oh, it's not going to be 3 days. It'll be like 5. No. I'm not going to paint it on stream. Projects like that, as much as I would like to show you guys, one, I think it's cool for it to be seen the first time at the show. And two, it's like I just want to like really concentrate and not have to worry about like being on camera and stuff. So it'll be a good old audio book, and maybe I'll start listening to, what was that one? Something Dungeon Crawler Carl or whatever it is. Am I going to beat Albert? That's going to be really difficult to beat Albert at World Model Expo, considering, as far as I know, he's not entering anything. I mean, maybe he'll enter his orc from Golden Demon or something, but nothing specific. That's crazy to me to think that, like, that dwarf he did was 3 years ago now, though. Oof. How time flies. I don't think it's ever specifically alternated. I don't, as far as I know. And then in 3 years, we get World Model Expo Madrid. Madrid. Bienvenido a Madrid. We can all go enter our models and then go eat a bunch of tapas. Yeah, it's in collaboration with Freak Wars. Oh yeah, is it going to be in August? I don't think it's in August. They move the date, so it should be in July, which is still going to be stupid hot in Madrid. Considering I went to Madrid after the last World Model Expo, and it was crazy hot. It's okay, though. It's a dry heat. Dude, it was dumb. It was like 45. We went to Toledo. And that day was so warm. It was funny. We went like down into the dungeons in Toledo. Like they had like the jail cells and they were underground. And I was like, I think I'll just stay here. It was like 20 degrees cooler in the jail cells underneath the gas hole or whatever. I was like, I'm just going to stay in these guys. All right, we're getting some color down now. So what are we going to do for the fur? Been thinking about it. So I'm probably going to do a light fur. Obviously, we're doing some kind of blondish for the hair. If we're going to do a really light color for the fur, we need to think about something along those lines. I think I'm going to do a black, like a dark hair for this guy. So we'll probably just mix some of these two. Oh yeah, dude. Seattle's so hot. There's one thing the Pacific Northwest is really known for. It's their wild temperature swings and extreme summers. I mean, we joke about Madrid, but the other talk was that it was going to be in Vegas. And you really think Vegas in July would have been any better than Madrid? No, Richard, you just like the heat, the moisture just gets sucked out of you when you're in Vegas in that temperature. You just start to shrivel up. Michael Paints Minis, thanks for the tier 1. Welcome back. Hello, hello. I think people who live in Phoenix are actually crazy. Then again, I think people who live in Vegas are also kind of crazy. There were places that just man was not meant to settle. All right, color, getting on there. He's probably going to be quite pale. I don't know how, well, most of the skin is going to, or like color is going to be out of his skin. Mr. Missing Head here. Or maybe Mr. Missing Body, I guess I should say. Oh, let me check out my sweet new mug. Ray made this for me. It has a very satisfying slow slide. Yeah, it is. It is 3D printed. Questions? Question for the chat. Who went to MPO and who went to Contrast, and how were they? Anyone? Any UK, European folks in the chat that went to either show? All right. Color for the fur. So we're going to go light again. I think we'll start with like a gray, something a slightly more warm gray. We're going for like a super light white. Brain, which brush? Contrast is a good show. Michał Myslowski and Chistov put on a good show for people. It's a good time. I add just a touch of black to this. And honestly, it's pretty dang close to that color, but it's okay. I will also be at SMC and Essen Spiel. The Epic project. Did you get to pick out everybody's figure? I'm special, and I got to do one of the special figures. Will I be teaching at Adepticon next year? Probably. There's a very high likelihood that I will be teaching at Adepticon next year. What? I don't know. Tulsa? Like Oklahoma? Am I comfortable with people asking for a photo? Comfortable? Nah, yeah, it's fine. I don't mind. Except Richard. Yeah, not you. I don't want any photos with Richard. I don't want to be seen, like, being involved, like having any association with him for when the FBI comes looking for him. We see that Richard Reeds is one of your known associates. I wouldn't say associates. Sculpting is pretty heavy on some of this fur, particularly this one spot. The rest of it's not too bad. A lot of this is going to be much brighter than this. One interesting thing about this fur is that, like, fur is not a solid object like it is sculpted, you know? So fur is one of the, sadly, limitations of plastic, right? We can't make it as soft and transparent as it really is. So you tend to have a bit lighter shadows as the light is able to pass in through some of the hairs and kind of bounce around. If you think about a squirrel's tail, it always looks white on the border because of the light scattering through the thin hairs on the outside. So thanks, Mark. MFCA was a pleasure this year. I like MFCA. It's a cool show. Those historical guys get a lot of flack, but you know they're good guys. We need to keep. Actually, had a couple of guys from the Texas figure painters, like historical guys, in the Austin workshop, and they did a fantastic job. They did a really great job. Ken, one of the guys that was in the class, was struggling a little bit to see how the figure was going, and I had to just be like, "No, trust me, just keep going. It's working. It's gonna look good." And he painted like a really good figure at the end of it. It's like, no, just believe it's gonna work out. People tend to have a bit of a struggle in the ambience workshop, though, just because they're not used to painting that way, right? It's like, I would never use this color for skin. And you're like, yeah, I know, but it's affected by the light. So you have to consider how the skin color is going to be affected by the light. And then this is going to also be affected by the light and the shadow and the environment. And it'll look good once it's all together. Tunes. Hello. Thanks for following. So it takes a little trust, but he got through it, and it came out really nice. So he persevered. Probably one of my favorite figures of the class, actually. And he had a very difficult, like, swampy ambience. This, like, dark, just super grayish, yellow, kind of nasty looking scene, and did a good job. Well, man, Sebastian, when you got 30 years of practice doing it one way, it can definitely be a little weird to, just change it up. Is it a gray, purple, ochre, green swamp? No. It was like really yellow and gray. There was another one that had like a more purpley, this sort of purple, orangey, brown, yellow. That was another one that was cool. That one was by, what was his name? I'm sorry. I'm really bad with names. He was from New York. He flew in from New York to take the class. Hi, Slaps and Ice Cream, who did my favorite, actually, ambience of the class. So good job. We were talking about the workshop, yes. Now he's just got to take a couple days to refine it. Refine, refine, refine. Yeah, I think this sort of works. This like whitish fur. I might adjust the color a little bit later, but I'm looking more at the value right now. See how the value works with the skin in the blue. Who's that? Flapjack Nickel said, hello. Thanks for the Prime. For the 3 months. Appreciate it. Right, let's really like push some of the value here. Just to see how we feel about this. Yeah, I think that'll work. All right, because we get this like nice dark blue with some of the light of this like pale white fur. And then get the little bit of the shadow of her skin. Helps separate it a little bit there. And I think the skulls will also be a nice kind of similar tone. And they have some nice highlights on them. Will feel pretty good. Might even, like, I'm looking at the blue now, and I might actually go even darker on it. Let's see. Let's see what happens if we push this back a little bit further. Not too worried about touching some of the other parts just because it's still very early. I'm just seeing how I feel about the rough sort of value and tonality, right? I think that will work pretty well. We'll actually go even whiter than this. I need to put some more highlight on her skin a little bit more. Something's just slightly brighter. Yeah. So it's like either it's a white wolf pelt or polar bear or, you know, some kind of winter animal. But I do like the little bit darker blue here. So we're going to go for like a real navy blue kind of tone. Indigo. Does anybody know actually how indigo pigment was? Is indigo like a plant? Yeah. Like for denim? Is that a thing? Am I making stuff up or am I remembering correctly? Is indigo a plant? It's mined first? Is that true? You messing with me? Crazy. I didn't know that. You learn something new every day. So it's some kind of mineral. I'm sorry that I didn't get to go to Contrast. I would have flown home and then left again like 3 weeks later to go right back to Europe. Too many shows. I can't go to them all. Indigo is from, oh, I'm thinking of lapis. Indigo is from the leaves of the plant called indigo. That's what I, see, thought it was a plant. Lapis lazuli I knew was a mineral. The most expensive pigment in the world, actually. Yeah, ultramarine is the synthetic version of lapis. Okay, so we've got kind of some colors down. We'll get some rough idea. I need to put some browns and stuff on here, figure out exactly. I'm going to go with black leather, I think, but something, maybe not. Maybe it does need some orange just to contrast the blue a little bit. I don't know. How would you know that we found all of it that exists? Yeah, it probably is woad, which I think woad is like a lighter blue, but you could dye it many times. Neon Crusader, hello, welcome. Thanks for following. Yeah, I'm gonna go take a quick break. I'm gonna go do some stuff, and I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, I'm back. Hello. So, What do we think so far? It does feel like it's missing a little something, right? Is it just me? I think it needs some kind of like deep reddish brown here. So, who's that? Heat Guy J, hello, welcome. Thanks for following. Drag the paint over, looking for a specific paint in my pile of paints. No. Where are you? Hello? Pretty sure I stole a ground brown from Roxana, because I see two in here. Royal brown. I think this is what we want for a nice deep leathery brown. Yeah, I think, all right. So this I'm now looking at and I'm going, do I want the boots to actually be blue? Not possibly. But I like this as a deep reddish color. It's a nice tone to offset some of all these cool colors. And then when we put some highlights on it, it'll cool it off. I'll eventually change the wood also. I just want to see how I feel about the color tone to this stuff. But I think this will work pretty well. Trip was good. Yeah, it was nice. Didn't get a chance to go to DreamHack, but was a little busy teaching lots of classes. Yeah, it was a fun time. Did some painting on the official Warhammer stream. Painted some of the Saturnine models, the Terminators, etc. GB Paints, thanks for the tier 1 for 3 months in advance. Thank you. Yeah, well, you know, that's a whole thing. I don't even know if I got called out by name on the Twitch stream. Oh, so there was a thing that happened. They gave away the models on Twitch. So you could win the models that we were painting on stream. And does anyone know Meat Canyon? The guy who does the weird cartoons on YouTube. So he won my figure that I painted on stream in the raffle. And then he was like, I don't want it. Give it to someone else. I was like, what? I'm never watching your videos again. I'm going to watch his videos again, but what a jerk. He was like, I'm not that big a fan. Give it to someone else. So, okay. Not of me. I don't even know if he knew it was me that painted it, to be honest. He was just like, yeah, I'm not that big a fan of Warhammer. Give it to somebody else. I was like, okay, cool. Hi, Eric. Doing any teaching in Europe after the Expo? That depends. Where are you? I'm going to be in London. Tickets should hopefully go live this week for the London workshop. Follow the Discord, but depending on where you are, it will be the weekend after the World Model Expo, GB Paints. So, yeah, join the Discord for announcements when that will be. What paint am I using for the leather? Oh, and come on, I don't like answering that question, but it's Chimera Royal Brown, because the more important question is not what paint I'm using, but why am I using it? Okay. Why this specific color? Why a deep reddish brown? Because we have a very cold ambience. We have lots of blue tones. Exactly. It is a nice complementary color to all these deep bluish tones without doing too much orange. So I wanted a good, warm, saturated, reddish brown in order to create some warmth and some accents. And it helps to define some of these smaller elements a little more. If her skin was darker, would I change it? Maybe if her skin was, like a deeper reddish brown, I would probably go with a different color, but she has very pale skin. So this reddish brown adds some warmth where it's kind of needed, right? Everything was feeling sort of gray. So we create nice deep color here. Now the highlights, so let's say I wanted to highlight this, right? If I add more blue, look what happens to it, right? So we want to add some like sky blue sort of color reflecting, look, just that tiny amount of blue that I just added. Okay, so it's going to desaturate a bit to gray in the highlights as we add some lights to the leather, right? So it will only be in sort of the shadow areas where the highlights on the leather will be a more cold, almost purpley tone. As soon as we get lighter on it, right? So as it catches the lights, it's going to cool off. So we get these like nice deep saturated reds in the shadows. But a much cooler light in the highlights. I actually am considering adding just a touch of glaze of this to her skin tone in some areas just to add some warmth. So like around her knees or something, if we wanted to push the color just a little bit. Maybe in her face just a little. Add a little touch of red. Yeah, it's a transparent. Transparent. So it is very nice. It is a very nice color for glazing. Right, the face tends to be slightly more warm. You have a bit more blood flow and stuff in the face. So we can, punch up some color a little bit here and there where we want to add a little bit, maybe more warmth to the shadows. When you add more warmth to the shadows like this, what does it do to the lights? Anyone? Anyone? Yeah, it cools them down. So by leveraging some extra warmth in the shadows, we actually, by contrast, make the lights feel a bit colder. Because everything is about context. Yeah, turns out contrast is more than just value. It's crazy, right? So just by applying a little glaze over top, we're able to shift the some of the tonality here and create colder lights. Which con is very funny. Oh, funny guy. We got funny guy Craig's log in the chat. Where else do you have high blood flow? Feetsies. Feets and hands. The answer is feets and hands. Dude, I love painting feet. Painting feet, painting hands. Not enough good feet and hands on models. Dude, Sebastian, that figure, the San Giovanni, that was like, yeah, that was one of the most fun parts about that figure was the hands and feet. The hands were actually sculpted super good. Was that roughly 75? No, it was 90. He was a bigger figure. He was like sitting down, he was taller than she is. Which I guess he's not really sitting down, he's like, but yeah, he was like this tall. So yeah, he's a bigger model. Roughly 90 mil, something like that. Large. Larger in the scheme of miniatures, I guess. So you can see just how much, like, doing that glaze to the feet here. Now, I mean, I have to come back and highlight them, but you should be able to see just how much warmth this is, like, added to it, to the skin tone. And then when I go back and I put some highlights on this stuff, yeah, makes a nice adjustment to the skin, make it a little, those highlights a little more cool. It can actually use this sort of leathery color that I have here. Look, it's basically the same as my skin tone on her stomach, right? How about that? Would you look at that? Well, geez. Geez, Eric, just mix that color right back. How about that? Verdeco? Verdeco? I don't know. What is Verdeco? No, it's a new term for me. Verdeco. Is this some oil painting technique or something? Oh, green undertone. That makes sense for deco. No. Green underpainting? No, that's not my. That's a oil painting sort of technique. I do like having a colored underpainting. So here you can see like the skin was kind of like this warmish yellow, and now I'm shifting it like slightly more pinkish, with like cold pink on the feet. So we should get this more like grayish sort of tone on her calf, like on her thigh, and then a more like saturated kind of color on her foot. And like here on her knee, I want to add a little bit of red. Eat your heart out, Quentin Tarantino. I'm going to take something just even slightly more reddish. Like pink, this is like pinky sort of color. We're going to make another glaze. It's gonna be a little difficult to see the difference, like these subtle shifts, but they're there. Especially in this like kind of cold environment. Caffeinated goblin. Hello. How are you? Thanks for following. So, we did the skin last time, and now because I've added more color like to the piece overall, right? Now I can make further adjustments where I feel it's necessary in order to like I have more context now, right? So don't feel bad about going back and making adjustments where you need. But the values were what I was looking for, right? It's not about I'm not trying to really change the values of the painting. I'm trying to now introduce some color variation in these areas that I know you tend to have more reddish tones, right? And also creates for a nice like skin like warmth that the skin didn't really have before. But most of it stays pretty similar, right? So I've just added some red to the hands, to the face, to the feet, around the knees, the elbows, things like that. I usually tend to have quite a bit of red here. Like, well, I'm pale as hell, but you tend to have a little bit more red like around the upper chest. Sorry, I'm pink everywhere, so it doesn't help that much. But you should be able to see that, like, maybe you can see my hands are more reddish. Nah, I'm just kind of reddish everywhere. Good later. Hello. Maybe this helps? Okay. Pink versus more orange. Do a feet stream. Well, how's my nails look? Too bad to show on close-up camera. Nobody wants to see that. But yeah, guys, check out my sick. Look at my sick sandal tattoo, huh? Or not tattoo, farmer's tan. Woo! Yeah, you can't handle those legs. Careful now. Gonna get they're gonna make me be on the hot tub stream here. The hot tub category. Hi, caffeinated goblin. We're just talking about skin color, you know. You guys got to see my white as hell legs and my sad little farmer's tan on my feet from wearing sandals outside when I go out to smoke. That tan is literally from just going outside to smoke. That is the only, so the 3 minutes an hour. I don't do well in, what's it called? The sun. Yeah, I get it so much I had a hard time thinking about the word. Well, I feel pretty good about like where the sort of colors are at now. I think I feel better with the skin. That's too pink. I'll have to add some warmth back to this. Little bit of skin, like more orangish. That's right. It's not bad, but it's slightly off. All right, what do you guys remember what I used for the hair? Because I don't. Earth, maybe. Does this look right? That looks way too yellow, huh? It's not brown enough. But if I add a little brown and some gray, and a lot more gray. Nailed it. We don't need to know what color it was. Just mix it, bro. This is why the names on bottles don't matter. Just match the color. Easy. You guys actually want to know what happened there? Okay. So that is a skill. But you want to know my thought process that I went through when I did that? So I looked here. I looked at this. Let's put this on, okay? I didn't need to put it on to know. But I looked at this on the palette, and I looked at her, and I went, that's too saturated. Okay? It's too saturated, and it's too yellow. Right here, it looks quite orange on her, but I promise in hand it's more yellow. So my brain went, okay, value is close to the shadow. I need to add some light. Right? All right, I add a little light. The blue's going to cool it off a little bit. Yeah, because I know the glacier blue was like my light color. Okay, then my brain I went, okay, it's too yellow. Need a touch of red. Right, just a touch, just to warm it up slightly. Get it away from yellow. Right, and then I went, oh, it's too saturated. Look, I'll put it on. Too saturated. Right, way too saturated. So I went, oh, it needs gray. Right, I gotta gray it out. Desaturated. But all right, so you can do the same thing. You also can color match like that. It's not that hard. Just a little bit of this, so this will also gray it out. All right. I think I need to tell my roommate about that. That's the second time. I don't know if they're outside or if they're inside, but that's the second time I've heard what sounds like squirrels in the crawl space. I don't hear them running around much, though. Either way, don't want them on the roof either. If they're on the roof, but I don't hear them crawling up here, just over there. Squirrels. It's a pitter patter. Like that. Pitter patter. Squirrels is better than like xenomorphs. Yeah. You don't want those in your wall. They're the walls, man. My question is, how are they getting on? If they are what I think they are, how are they getting up there? You can actually use this color for the skin tone. Look, ta-da! If we need to add a little bit of yellow. Oh, how about that? Look, we mixed skin tone. It's amazing. Trees? We don't have any trees by the house. As far as I'm aware, I can't think of any. Oh, flying squirrels. Unless they're climbing the gutters or something. Hi, Dave. Time to take them down. So that's the weird thing. I heard them, and now I don't hear them. It's gone. That was it. Maybe. They're scared now. Just gonna go get my 9 and just start blasting at them. Nah, they're not behind me. They don't want any part of this. I don't want to get PETA on me, but I'll go full Caddyshack on these squirrels. It's a good movie. Hey, alright. Don't have to worry about me. You got to give me a shot. Won't you just let me be? What is his name? He also did the Top Gun theme song. It was popular. What? Dang it. What is his name? Come on. Yeah, if I start using squirrel hair brushes. Just with old janky, it's like old janky artist opus handles, just like it's like clipped off and just wrapped, like taped to the end. Kenny Loggins. Thanks, Schnurdy. Hey, Bombay. Whatever happened to Kenny Loggins? He was so popular in the 80s. Ray Archer did make a bunch of jokes about Kenny Loggins. Was I watching something I was watching the trailer for? And I was like, that's Chris Parnell's voice. Something recently that had a trailer. So when we go into the shadows here, I'm going to mix just a little bit more of this yellow in. Like if you think about the light coming in here, we want to warm up this up a little bit. Maybe the light bounces off her skin and it gets a little warmer. Not a lot, just a little bit. Just a little bit of yellow. I feel like my ears are tuned in now. I'm like listening for it. Like, am I gonna hear that? You want to go to War Squirrels? They tear up your insulation to make nests and stuff. Fallout on My Adventures with Superman. No. I don't know. It was something. Some TV show or something or other. I mean, he does so many so much voice acting. It's hard. It's hard to say. Like, you can't help but go oh, that's Chris Parnell. You hear his voice all the time. Fallout, he plays himself. He's just the Cyclops. Can't help but notice him in that one. Don't worry about me. Thanks, Craig. Jerry. The classic Rick and Morty copy pasta. It's a good copy pasta, to be fair. typical internet of latching on to stupid crap for a short amount of time. The Szechuan sauce and pickle Rick, which wasn't even funny. Like, honestly, one of, in my opinion, like the worst episodes. Pickle Rick, I turned myself into a pickle. All right, hold on. My foot here. It's about time for a break, but I'm gonna go test something. My foot is asleep. Nope, I didn't hear any skittering when I banged on the wall. Maybe he's really smart. All right, I'll be right back. Come back, just get some squirrel. All right, I'll be right back. Well, where were we? It's probably about time to start refining some things a little bit. Good idea to like focus on something. One thing about the sort of reddish tone to the blue, or the woad. Ooh, don't need those right now. I might want to cool it off just a little touch, or make it actually slightly warmer in the shadows. So maybe mixing it with a little bit of the royal brown in the deep shadows, make it slightly purplish. We're looking at reference. It actually gets when they do like deep dye on it, it tends to turn quite purpley. So we can add a little bit of warmth in order to get the kind of cool blue that we're going for in the lights. Said I want a pretty dark color here. And I marked her skin again. I don't know why I bothered cleaning this up. when it's just going to happen again. Because I got this awkward angle right here. So this is my main viewing angle. Yeah. I need to bring this highlight over a little bit. That's sort of the line we're going for. I want to overemphasize that just a touch. Okay, something along those lines. I just noticed that I didn't paint underneath it. So we're going to get a super dark blue here and go under the skirt thing and just try and create a nice dark line. Separate the skin. Be creeps, guys. Don't try and look up her skirt. Not the girl I would try and peek a glance at anyways. Look what happened the last suit who tried to look up her skirt. Give her a bunch of tattoos that say like beware, danger. The Vigo Wolf. Anybody read The Devils? I'm harmless, see? One of my favorite scenes. This is no spoilers, all right? But when she meets the Dane, that had me rolling. All right, there's definitely like a little clickety clackety whatever. Hey, Chad, how do I get rid of squirrels in my attic? In my crawl space? There's we have pest control, but they're for, you know, termites and stuff like that. So I don't know if they can do anything, but I will talk to them and find out. Popcorn tubs? What? What about like what if we just get a bunch of the Dune popcorn tubs and get them just stuck in there? I'm gonna need all your guys' novelty Dune popcorn buckets. It's okay if they're lightly used. Yep. Squirrels. May your knife chip and shatter. It's getting there now. Bring, bring, bring. Kashirin. Hello. Welcome. Thanks for following. Welcome to one of the weirder streams in a while. I don't know, maybe they're all weird. May thy knife chip and shatter. I'll make sure to keep you guys updated on the War of the Squirrels, though. They could be building nests and old Gundam boxes in there. That's loud. I don't know. You guys might not have been able to hear that, but I definitely did. Oh, I'm getting the hat, dude. I'm getting a full... Going to war, boys. Cat in your wall? This just made me think of the It's Always Sunny. Oh, you got a cat in your wall? If anybody would like to let me borrow their cat, put a cat in the crawl space, that'll deal with the squirrels. I'm pretty sure I could go to the dumpster of the local 7-Eleven and get a cat, you know. He's probably scarier than your cat, too. He's got hunter instincts. The help wanted ads, looking for attic cat to deal with squirrels. I'll go steal my neighbor to the back of me. Got a French bulldog that likes to chase squirrels. I'll just go borrow him for a little bit. He never catches any though, so I don't know. He might not be that great. Yeah, I don't want them just chased down. I want them eliminated. You know, he is a French bulldog. He can only chase équerres. Well, I think we're nearing the end of this stream. I don't know how much more really want to push certain elements tonight, but we got some color on it. Let's you know what, real quick. Let's just put like a wash over guy's face here. It's a little greenish, a little red, a little yellow. Make him kind of gross. If the blood drains out of his face, bleh. So he's not just gray. Next step will be, oh shit, what up? You're playing with my...
So where is this thing?
I hear him over there. He's somewhere in there.
Oh, he's behind that door?
Yeah. Anyways. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to go right into someone else. Hit the stop on the... And then YouTube can end with the screeching door of my roommate coming in.